What is up, everyone? And welcome back to episode 59 of the Ryan Ripken Show. As you probably can tell, I am not Ryan Ripken. Ryan and Rocco are down in spring training doing all that content stuff, but we do have people here. The show goes on with me in studio. You call him Kevin Oyster Striker, Locked on Ravens, a lot of things. I call him a friend. Kevin Ostriker. Wait for it.
Oh, look at that. That might have been our best introduction of me yet. You use the soundboard and everything.
I know.
That's
it really might be. And talk about a guy restarting his streak. Brad Smith back behind him like 57 straight. Unfortunately, Brad, because we not even his fault. It was because Ryan had to do it early, which is
yeah.
crazy.
I'm not. It's hard to be like, look, you know, Cal Ripken, his father, was able to keep the streak.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't have been able to keep the streak if the MLB just decided to change, time zone like that.
Suddenly, yeah, if Ryan was in charge of the streak, it definitely would not have gotten that far. That's for sure.
Right.
That we can guarantee.
I feel like this shouldn't count against me. But nevertheless,
it's like a mulligan.
Yeah, you get the one mulligan, so you use the mulligan.
Yeah, exactly.
There we go.
It's just a mulligan. Exactly. At the end of the day. So thank you all for tuning in. If you already are not, please like and subscribe. We do this every Monday and Thursday, usually around 6 p.m. unless we do it earlier so Brad can mess up his streak.
That's right.
But let's get into a little bit of our spicy topics. We're going to get into Orioles baseball, spring training in a little bit, but we wanted to start off with what's hot right now. And Shannon Sharpe and Chad Ochocinco always find a way to just have controversial conversations. Kevin, what'd you say?
Yeah, that's and especially I think within Baltimore circles, I think Shannon Sharpe is now known as one of the biggest Lamar haters, at least for national media members, based off of what he's been saying on First Take and a lot of other things. And on Nightcap, it's the same type of stuff. I think we've seen a lot of viral clips come of Shannon Sharpe in particular, and what we're going to watch. I mean, Chad Ochocinco was, singing Lamar's praises, and Shannon Sharpe was like, are you serious? So we're going to talk about it, but it's kind of crazy and it's a former Raven too. I think that's what gets people.
I think that's what gets people even more upset, and he knows that Baltimore fans will react to this stuff. So let's listen in on Chad Ochocinco talking about would Lamar Jackson have won a Super Bowl on the Chiefs this year? Take a listen.
Patrick Mahomes and put him on Baltimore, how good do you think they would be?
Holy shit.
Why you say that?
Because
Lamar had that team. You told me the Baltimore Ravens, top to bottom, had the best roster in football. So why are you saying holy shit?
Because
holy poop.
I mean, it would be nice. You take Lamar Jackson and put him in the Chiefs, you get the same thing. But go ahead.
Are you serious?
Yeah, ain't nothing wrong with Lamar. Lamar is dynamic. Lamar is dynamic in his own right. Obviously,
if I put Lamar on Kansas City, they win in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, offensively, it would be a different offensive dynamic. It would be a different offensive dynamic. You have a great defense. You still got Spags. You got Andy Reid. Who knows? Listen, stay with me now. Lamar Jackson and Todd Monken had a great year together.
Yes.
Can you imagine Lamar Jackson and motherfucking Andy Reid? Boy, picture that. You talk about Picasso. You thought Picasso was creative in what he did? Now imagine goddamn Andy Reid and Lamar Jackson. Come on now.
So you said it's not Patrick Mahomes, it's Andy Reid.
No, I'm saying no, because he's great. He would be great. Where there are 32 teams. There are 31 other teams outside of the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes can go on the other 31 teams, and he will be a difference maker because of who he is, because of the skill set that he has.
Is he better in Cincinnati's offense than Joe Burrow? Because that's the question. When I pose these questions to you,
right?
I'm asking you, are they better or worse? So if I take Lamar and put him in Cincinnati.
But then you know what? Look, you put him in Cincinnati, the offense has to change completely based on the type of quarterback we have. Everything changes. So we don't know. It's a hypothetical, but again, there's a certain type of offense that Lamar runs and a certain type of offense that Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow runs. It's completely different.
I gotta say, I don't think I ever thought I would be defending Chad Ochocinco like this, but I love the points he made. Kevin, we'll start with you. What were your original thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, we know Lamar is a game changer. We know he's somebody that can go onto a football field and win. And now, has he won the Super Bowl? Has he been to a Super Bowl? Those are kind of the conversations we have to have here. But, when Shannon Sharpe was talking about, well, what about Cincinnati and Joe Burrow? Well, Joe Burrow's been to the Super Bowl, right? That's something Lamar hasn't done, but he hasn't actually won it. So I think if Lamar was on the Chiefs, look, Andy Reid is a mastermind. He's one heck of a coach. And what Patrick Mahomes has done is not just because of Andy Reid. It's because Patrick Mahomes is a really, really, really good quarterback. But Lamar Jackson also is as well. Now, if you were to put Lamar on the Chiefs right now, their receiving core is much like what Lamar dealt with over the first 4 or 5 years of his career in terms of you have kind of like, they're not the exact same player, but Rashee Rice and Marquise Brown, both talented wide receivers, right? That's somebody who you can build an offense with, not necessarily a receiving group around, but build it with. But then with the Chiefs, it's Kadarius Toney, it's Marquez Valdes-Scantling, who playoff MVS was a thing. He had a couple big catches.
Don't you love it?
But in my opinion, I think that if you put Lamar on the Chiefs, I agree with Chad Ochocinco. Chad Johnson said it. You can win a Super Bowl if you put Lamar on the Chiefs. Now, I think Lamar and the Ravens were talented enough to win it this past season. So I think, you can put Lamar in a lot of places and he'll elevate, much like you put Patrick Mahomes a lot of places. He'll elevate too.
Yeah, that's my point. So, that's the point that I was going to make, and I'll just piggyback on that. Like, the Ravens, Lamar Jackson, and the Ravens were better than 29 other teams this season. Yeah, and so and he won an MVP. Need I remind everybody, with Willie Snead as his number one wide receiver? That's the kind of caliber player you're talking about with Lamar. So of course, when you put him on another team, he's going to be the difference maker. Of course, if you put him on the Kansas City Chiefs, they'd have a shot at the Super Bowl. Why wouldn't they? You put him on, and I don't care what either one of them say. You put him in the Cincinnati Bengals with both of those wide receivers, and you don't even really look Lamar Jackson and that running game, even this season with Gus Edwards and a beat up backfield, still was a leading rushing team. So it doesn't matter. You put Lamar Jackson on any of those teams that Shannon Sharpe was bringing up, he is going to be a difference maker. They are going to contend for a Super Bowl. Full stop.
Yeah.
Full stop.
I think my favorite thing about the two hypotheticals is both of them are intriguing for different reasons. Because with the Bengals, you have Lamar Jackson and you add Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon, and it's fun to think about what he could do with those weapons. Whereas with the Chiefs, it's kind of funny because, like we just talked about, you're going backwards for Lamar. You're going back to having very little weapons around you besides, obviously, Travis Kelce.
And he's been there before.
He's been there before, but it's kind of what Chad Johnson said. Motherfucking Andy Reid. I love how he put it because it's so true. It's like, think about all the creativity that he's done with Patrick Mahomes, with this offense. And then imagine he has a quarterback who runs like a 4-3. It's just ridiculous to think of the trick plays, the different things that Andy Reid could draw up with Lamar Jackson. That's something to get excited
about. And I'll ask the flip side of it. Zach, I'll ask you first. I mean, Brad, jump in too. Do you think that if Patrick Mahomes was put on the Ravens with John Harbaugh, it'd be any different for him?
I think definitely. I think that Andy Reid is just that offensive mastermind. And like you said, it's not all Andy Reid.
Right.
I mean, Patrick Mahomes is one of the greatest quarterbacks. We'll go down as one of, if not the greatest quarterback of all time. You have one of the greatest tight ends of all time. So it's not just Andy Reid. We saw Andy Reid in Philadelphia couldn't win the Super Bowl. He couldn't get over that hump. He comes here to Kansas City. He and Patrick Mahomes have 3 already. So I think Mahomes would still win. I think he'd have 1 ring, but I'm not sure if he has 3 if he doesn't have Andy Reid.
And I think go ahead, Brad. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I disagree. I think that if Patrick Mahomes was playing for the Baltimore Ravens, that it would be the same or really? Very close, because the teams are the same. You have really good defenses. You got, the stark difference obviously is the running game. But when you look at player personnel and who you have on the offensive side of the ball, you can make the argument that Travis Kelce this year was the best tight end in the league, but last year it was Mark Andrews, and nobody's going to tell me any different. So you have that big-bodied tight end that you can throw the ball to, and he's going to catch the ball no matter what situation he's in. Then you have wide receivers all around you that are good enough to get you there, and they obviously were last year, even without a Tyreek Hill for the Chiefs. So I think that those teams are very different, that are very, very similar, except for the run game. I mean, that was really kind of the big difference between the Ravens and the Chiefs all the way up for the last 5 years, really. So if you put Patrick Mahomes on the Ravens, he's going to win Super Bowls. He's probably going to win the same amount, I would think. And the only difference is, I think, obviously, is the coaching side of things. But Ravens, in my opinion, had the better defense. You have Andy Reid that had a better offense. So I don't think that there's going to be much difference as far as success is concerned if you flip-flop both of those quarterbacks for either team.
And I don't think Lamar, I know Lamar has not had as good of a wide receiver as Mahomes has had there with Tyreek Hill when Hill was still in Kansas City. I just, if the Ravens had gone out there and gotten an A.J. Brown, or they'd made a move for Stephon Diggs or whatever, one of these top flight wide receivers, I'm just so curious to know not only what it would have been like, but how the offense would have shifted and changed around that. Because we know in his prime, Odell was awesome. One of the top receivers in the league when he was in his prime. But, we can be honest and say that Odell, when he came to the Ravens, was nowhere near his prime. So I think, if everything works out for Zay Flowers, he has that number one potential there in terms of, he's regarded as one of the better wide receivers in this league. And I think he's on his way. But to me, I'm just so curious and I always look back on it to say, well, what if the Ravens, Brad, it's almost like what you were talking about in terms of, is the new meta just to build around these rookie quarterbacks and go all in there? We can make multiple arguments that the Ravens did not go all in on offense when Lamar was on his rookie contract. And now they have to build around Lamar. They can still do it, but it's a little more difficult because of the contract Lamar is on. And obviously with Mahomes, the Chiefs were able to kind of maximize it a little bit better with rookie Mahomes as opposed to what the Ravens did with rookie Lamar.
Yeah, no, I think it is an interesting fact because I don't think it's wrong at all to say the Ravens didn't go all in when Lamar was on his rookie contract, especially on offense, because his best wide receiver is the one I would say he currently has with Zay Flowers. And that's tough to going into year, now 7?
Yeah.
So you would have hoped by now, obviously not a shot at Zay, he's best he had, but you were hoping he had a number one before then. And I guess it takes us to our next topic. Speaking of number one receivers, not for a great reason. In fact, probably up there for one of the wildest off seasons we will ever see. And it's only February 29th. Tyreek Hill. Brad, do you want to come in here? I know you're all over this stories.
This is going to be the worst start for anybody in 2024. Worst start to the year for anybody. When you're Tyreek Hill and you settle, first of all, your house catches on fire. Yeah. Your mansion basically gets burned to the ground. Then you finally settle a lawsuit with a baby mama with a kid who you thought wasn't yours. Turns out it was. Yeah. Then now you get slapped with. So I'm going to run through them all, and then we're just going to talk about them. Then you get slapped with a lawsuit because you tackled a plus size model and broke her leg.
Yeah, and then backyard football drills because backyard football, something you do.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Then you get sued again because you got another baby mama out there that's claiming that this kid is yours. So it's just been a rough start for Tyreek Hill in 2024.
Yeah, definitely not the ideal start that anyone would want to have to their offseason, especially if you're Tyreek Hill coming off of one of the greatest seasons we thought a wide receiver has ever had. You're riding that emotional high, and then you get off the field, and all the problems seem to just keep adding up. Yeah, why were they doing football drills? Like here, I'm just so confused. Kevin, have you ever decided to just do football drills? Like you're like, hey.
No. I mean,
let me give you the context real quick. Let me give the context real quick, and then we'll get into it. So this is according to CBS. There's plenty of media outlets that have this out here, but social media influencer Sophie Hall, her lawyers filed suit in Broward County Circuit on February 23rd, and it alleges that Tyreek Hill forcefully and purposefully, I want to use those words because that's what's in the complaint, pushed her to the ground during a football drill at his mansion last summer. The receiver was humiliated when Hall sent him backward on a friendly football lesson, apparently. And the lawsuit, that's according to the lawsuit, has resulted him in, I guess, getting pissed and charging at her violently with great force, again, quoting the suit. Then the crushing force was so great that she sustained a right leg fracture, necessitating surgery with metal hardware implantation. And she is seeking $75,000 in damages, which honestly, like
I feel like you're getting more.
Yeah.
My initial
for what his
reaction,
contract is.
yeah, my initial reaction to this would have been like, oh, she's like taking him to the cleaners with this.
Yeah, no.
But 75 grand isn't really that big of a deal. But the civil assault lawsuit was filed on charges of battery, assault, and intentional infliction of emotional distress and negligence. 75 grand, I don't think is that big of a deal. I'm surprised that this is even getting out and there isn't a settlement already for 75 grand.
Yeah, I love the part where it says that he got pissed off because I guess she beat him in the first rep.
Was this like were there people around? Was his like ego hurt? Was like were there people around and like I guess like he thought he got shown up or something when he was purposely doing these drills, and so he's like, oh, now I've never heard something like this. This is crazy.
I just wonder, like, what is your reaction after one? She just beat you out of rep, so you're like, I'm gonna go as hard as I possibly can to show her that I'm Tyreek Hill, and then she breaks her leg. Like, I would be standing there like, I did not think this was gonna, like, what do you do at that point? Like, in that situation, you just decided to, I guess at the time, a girl you were seeing, you decided to have her compete with you in football. That's the first weird part, is that the fact that one, they even were in this situation where they were like, hey, let's train football together. But then that's probably the worst possible outcome. But that's not the only reason we're talking Tyreek Hill today. No. Also, he just one of the all-time strays for absolutely no reason, and we have to defend our guy. Jack Selman and Marlon Humphrey on the Punchline podcast had Tyreek Hill on, and a certain Raven caught just a super unnecessary stray from Tyreek. Take a listen.
Places. We've been to two places. Man, my fault. Yeah, like I'm motherfucking. My fault. My fault. You've been to two places. I'm Nelson Aguilar in this motherfucker. You've been to two places. Fuck, man. My fault.
Play that again. So I want to make sure that you guys hear the very beginning of this.
We've been to two places. Man, my fault. Yeah, like I'm motherfucking. My fault. My fault. You've been to two places. I'm Nelson Aguilar in this.
Nelson Aguilar has been to.
So in case you guys didn't hear, I want to make sure that we cover this. So in case you guys didn't hear that part, at the very beginning, Marlon Humphrey says that you've been to a lot of places, and then obviously Tyreek loses it a little bit, and then somehow brings Nelson Aguilar into it about and I guess implying that he's been to a ton of different places.
He's been to four.
Yeah,
he's been four. Well, he's been in the league 10 years now.
Yeah, he's in four. He spent 5 years in Philly. Then spent 1 year in Las Vegas, 2 years in New England. Now we'll spend 2 years in Baltimore. That's not a lot of teams for 10 years. There are guys who went through, we were talking before, Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
Like 15 teams. You could have said that.
Josh Johnson, literally.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
What a stray caught by Nelson Aguilar. I know he saw that clip going a little viral. One, he has to think again, because it seems like every time there's a viral video, Nelson Aguilar is the random NFL player that's added into this. So poor guy cannot go a month on Twitter without catching some sort of stray or being the talk for something completely non-related to something he does.
Shout out to Jack Salomon, by the way.
Yeah, shout out Jack.
True.
Those guys.
True.
Awesome over there. Let's bring in, we wanted to talk a little bit. This is more just a fun conversation for us. Rumors out there. So Zach Wilson, I guess, got permission to seek a trade from the Jets. I know, breaking news, probably won't be back with the Jets. So let's play. We're playing matchmaker. What would be a great spot to see Zach Wilson? We'll start with you, Kevin.
I was doing research just now. Is Jake Browning a free agent? Do we know? Because if he is, I'd put him in Cincinnati. I would say back up Joe Burrow in Cincinnati, because Jake Browning, if he is, I don't know. Again, I'm trying to do my research here and look. But if Jake Browning's a free agent, okay, it says the Bengals extended a tender to him. So I guess that means he'll probably stay. So my plan is foiled. I don't know where else I'd put him. I mean, it's not going to be New York. For fun, just put him in New England. The backup to whatever rookie quarterback they get in New England. Because there's no way they bring back Mac. I think Mac Jones is done. There's no way he stays there. Is Zappe a free agent? Do we know if Zappe's a free agent? Because if both Jones and Bailey Zappe are free agents, Malik Cunningham's in Baltimore now. You draft a rookie quarterback. There's no way the Patriots don't do that. And I think you start him. So put Zach Wilson in New England just for the memes, first of all, just for fun. But then also it like kind of makes a little sense. Like kind of.
Yeah, that's could you imagine Patriots fans after all the clowning that they've done on Zach Wilson? I guess he wouldn't be the starter, but just the offseason, that notification that he's traded to New England would send Patriots fans into a frenzy.
I guess if you're looking for like a veteran leader for your rookie quarterback, I guess my first or second or 80th choice would not be Zach Wilson.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
It's kind of funny to think about, though.
Brad, I know you have a little fun one that you want to put out there that I guess people won't be too shocked about with you.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to see, and if anybody can help me out, that would be great. I was trying to look up Sam Darnold's contract because he was with the 49ers last year. Well, why couldn't he go to the 49ers?
Yeah, he's a free agent, Sam Darnold.
Mm-hmm. So he is a free agent. So the 49ers go. I mean, if you put Zach Wilson there, is he really that much worse or better than a Sam Darnold? No, I don't think so. So I think you go to the 49ers, and if he has to play, 49ers aren't really that badly hurt.
Yeah.
Obviously, you got Big Cock Brock in there, and we've had plenty of conversations about the team that is surrounded around Big Cock Brock. If you put Zach Wilson in there, he doesn't have to make too many tough decisions. He throws to Ayuk, he throws to Debo, he tosses a dump pass to Christian McCaffrey. It's a safe signing if you take on Zach Wilson.
Yeah, and we talked about that a little bit earlier, and I'm going to be going the same boat. I'm going to take him out to the West Coast. What about the LA Rams? I've seen a lot of, we were talking earlier, a lot of Photoshops, a lot of Zach Wilson and LA Rams Photoshop. That would be an interesting one. Sean McVay, see what they can do there. Sitting behind Matthew Stafford might not be the worst thing for him because his whole point of this last year was to sit behind Aaron Rodgers. We saw how that went. That did not go as planned. Can you even consider it, though, sitting behind a player at this point, or is it just got to be your backup?
I'm not.
This is what you're
calling.
5? Like,
well, I don't know what years. You're fourth. It might even be 3, but
going into 4, I believe.
Yeah. Well, whatever it is, I think that for Wilson, you have enough experience in the league where you're not like a quote unquote project anymore. There's still room for him to improve and grow. I'm not saying that the Zach Wilson like the right situation for Zach Wilson. We've seen guys come back. We saw, like, for example, a Geno Smith, who everybody thought was dead to rights and had no career and had no shot to be a starter again, was backing up guys with the Giants and like other teams after his failed experiment with the Jets. He goes somewhere, Seattle finds a home and is now a starter for them. How long remains to be seen, but there still is hope for Zach Wilson. But at this point, I don't think you can say, well, if he goes to LA and Stafford retires, he's the front runner for that job. No. He's the heir apparent, right? Wilson has potential, but we've seen enough. We've seen enough film and tape on him where we kind of know who he is right now, and he needs to go somewhere and be a backup first.
Let's not forget too. I don't know if you guys saw this. Mecole Hardman also said that the Jets are a mess because of all the egos that are in that locker room. So, I mean, we know how bad the organization is and what that can do to players. So, I don't care if you put Patrick Mahomes in the Jets. Like, he's still not going to be great, right? He's not going to be Zach Wilson bad, but let's not forget Zach Wilson and the Jets almost did beat the Chiefs earlier last season. So, and Zach Wilson looked phenomenal. So, like, if that Zach Wilson can actually thrive somewhere with a good organization, I think he actually does well. I think he can certainly do better than. I mean, you can't do much worse.
You know what place is up in the air right now with quarterbacks is Minnesota.
Very up in the air.
So maybe we'll get a Tyler Huntley and Zach Wilson starting job competition in 2024.
Yeah. That now we're talking. Real quick, this comment. Any thoughts on other guys? Trey Lance, Mac Jones. Trey Lance is such an interesting prospect to me because we haven't seen him. Like, pretty much everything we have on Trey Lance is from practice, from what we've heard. There's very little game film on him, and it makes him an intriguing. I would assume, is he a free agent at this point?
No, he's still with Dallas.
He's still with Dallas. Would you trade if you want a quarterback? Is he someone that a Minnesota or if he goes to Atlanta, if Atlanta tries to do that though after Desmond Ridder, I think you're just playing the same game.
Yeah, I like him in Minnesota. I think Minnesota, because I think with the Vikings, Kirk could still come back. Like, I'm not completely ruling that out. Like, I think that if you're ranking possibilities, I mean, they're in a window right now where they're in a weird window right now. I don't really know what direction they're going to go in here, and especially with all these reports on Jefferson, which I don't think half of them are true anyway.
Yeah,
but like,
you can't trade him.
No. At the same time, though, if you're Minnesota, you're not in a position right now where you are in that like top 3 category to go take a quarterback this year. You have talent on your roster, but is Trey Lance a quarterback? Because again, we don't really know a lot about him right now. So is he a guy there? I think he'll probably stay in Dallas, as weird as it sounds. Like, I think the Cowboys feel comfortable with him there. And if Dak were to get hurt, you could put him in there. Now, Dak's probably going to get extended for whatever crazy amount that number.
Something he shouldn't.
We talked about what, 60 million with the cap going up the way it did. I heard, Dak's going to go get 80 million now.
He might try. He really might try. So let's move on. Same NFL stuff. We're going to get into the Orioles and spring training in a little bit. We have a Jorge Mateo breakdown coming to us.
Hey, I got some polls as well.
Oh, what we got with the polls right now?
I got one that I put on Jackson Holiday, just simply asking whether or not he was going to be starting opening day. 71% so far, or I actually ended the poll. So 71 said that he's not going to be starting opening day, which I found interesting considering he smacked that triple today.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, great highlight today.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about that later on in the show. But right now we have an ongoing poll, which I feel like we should engage in before moving on to the next topic, because it is the best game show of all time. Best game show of all time. The choices are Price is Right, Jeopardy, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and Wheel of Fortune.
I'm not gonna lie. Every time I think of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, I automatically go to that clip of the guy who won it, and he used his on the last question. To call his dad to tell him he just won the. Like, I almost want to vote for it. I feel like Jeopardy's obviously just like
it's such a classic.
Wheel of Fortune though was always like randomly I would get into streaks of like 2-3 weeks of like I would watch Wheel of Fortune.
When I was younger, I used to go on like GSN, like the website, and play like Family Feud and Wheel of Fortune. And I used to have actually a game. It was one of those like games you plugged in, the on the older TVs. You plug in the white and the red and the yellow cables, and you play, and it was a wheel, and you could spin the wheel physically. And it would an actual. And
you
it would
better
spin
vote
on
for Wheel of Fortune.
I can't. Family Feud is just too much of a class, or not Family Feud. Excuse me, Jeopardy. I love Family Feud, but Jeopardy is just too much of a classic. But
Family Feud probably has given the world the most viral clips, though.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like they've hit it. Their hosts, not just Steve Harvey, obviously going back every time.
Yeah,
correct.
Amazing hosts.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, they know what they're doing.
I feel like I could do a whole week of polls with game shows, right? Have you, either one of you heard of Press Your Luck?
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Like I know I had, and the other one's like
that one of Ryan's favorite sayings is whammy.
Yeah, whammy.
That's where it comes from. That's where it comes from, Zach. Those of you who were born post 2000.
I guess.
But honestly, he got that from, I think it was Anchorman. But anyway, it originated with Press Your Luck. But there's Press Your Luck. I mean, there's so many good games. And Family Feud, I totally forgot. I didn't forget about it, but I should have put that in this poll because that probably would have rivaled some of these other ones. But Family Feud is amazing. And then there's the match game that Bill Belichick debuted not Bill Belichick, Brian Billick.
Brian Billick, yep, that's right. That's
right. He was on the match game.
It did not go well for him.
It did not. Thankfully, his football career did so much better.
Yeah, a lot better.
Yeah. But I mean, there's like so many, and obviously,
Deal or No Deal had a good run.
Deal or No Deal, and then
had
there's
a great run.
What's the other daytime one? That like, oh my God, what's his name? The daytime one. It comes on before Wheel of Fortune during the day.
I don't know. I'm trying to look up.
That's got Wayne Brady. Who's Wayne Brady?
Oh, it's
Let's Make a Deal. Let's Make a Deal. That's what it is.
That's what it is. Yeah,
Let's Make a Deal is a good one too.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what other ones are. I can't think of other ones that are like.
Do you just watch game shows?
Well, do we consider Wipeout a game show? Technically,
for sure. SVP was, oh my God. SVP on Wipeout was the best.
Yeah. I used to have the Wipeout Wii video game. That was
I did.
Did you really?
Yes, that was so electric.
And then what was the one where it was like Minute to Win It, right? That was a good one.
Oh,
Minute to Win It was solid.
I forgot about Minute to Win It. That was, I'd always like, they would be the weird challenges.
Yeah. Well, Dwayne Wade has something similar to that. And I think it's called like The Cube or something. Like he has a game show now like that.
I feel a lot of old athletes get game shows. Steph Curry.
First Extreme Challenge. MXC. MXC was like the shit. And then there's what's the other like Gladiator like type one? What American Ninja or whatever. American
Ninja Warrior.
Yep.
That's another.
There's so many
just fun to put
so
on.
many good ones.
There are a lot.
Anyways,
great shows.
Yeah.
So what were the results of the poll break?
So far, Jeopardy is winning by 56%.
Yeah. I'd go Jeopardy 1, Family Feud 2, Wheel of Fortune 3. That's where I'd go.
No, not even no love for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Regis Philbin. God rest his soul.
Yeah. God. Tough decisions.
Honestly, so far it's Who Wants to Be a Millionaire comes in second place here with the viewers. 22%.
Okay.
Ooh,
all right.
Okay.
I don't think there's a wrong answer.
Yeah, people are all.
I mean, there is a wrong answer. It's if you didn't pick Wheel of Fortune, especially if you're a Baltimore viewer. I mean, Pat Sajak's from Baltimore, for crying out. He's got a home and I think it's Annapolis.
Yeah.
Okay, now that he makes that point, I do think we have to go with Wheel of Fortune. Give it the dub. Give it the dub.
And he's retiring this year too.
Yeah.
Oh
National treasure. It's Pat Sajak.
Crazy. Wow, that's gonna be weird.
Like 45 years or some shit.
God, Jesus Christ.
Didn't realize it was that long. That's
we'll be doing this for 45 years, you know.
We'll be having this conversation for 45 years.
Oh, probably.
With all the game shows there are.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
We could. But speaking of, I guess, newer things with the big hot topic right now is NFL report cards came out. And, I don't want to say some feelings got hurt, but there are definitely some franchises that did better than others. And Kevin, you sat down with Kadri Ismail and talked about this on Locked On Ravens. So we're going to give you a little clip from that, and we'll react on the other side.
When you were a player, you could anonymously say, hey, you know what? I like what we're doing here, but I want to recommend this, or I don't like what's going on here. And you're not going to know us from me because it's anonymous.
Yeah, no, here's the crazy thing about it. As you asked that question, I immediately go to how it was like this unofficial, who were the really good teams to play for and not play for. And teams that really stood out that were not to play for were Cincinnati and Arizona. And they were like the cheapest of the cheapest and just bare bones minimum. I guess you can throw Cleveland in there as well. They kind of had like this really just kind of a scenario for themselves as well. So, yeah, there were some teams that you just was like, yeah, I don't really know about that.
I know that guy. I know that guy on the left. He looks familiar to me.
Yeah, he's a good kid.
Yeah.
That was not great reviews for the Cincinnati Bengals and Arizona Cardinals, Staley's. And to give context for people who don't know, so the players over this past season, when do these, real quick, do you know when these are taken? I don't know. I'm curious to ask Nick about it when he comes back, because I think everybody gets it. I'm not sure how many actually answer it, but I love that they do it. It started last year. I think gives a really solid insight into, multiple, and they added new categories this past year too.
Yeah. So according to the NFLPA, and bring me up, Zach, because I'm reading this, but according to the NFLPA, 1,706 players provided information to share with one another about their current club to not only help them make important career decisions, but also help raise the standards across the league. So it apparently comes from everybody. It's almost just like if you worked in corporate America or what have you, the employee surveys, I think it's the same thing. It's just for the NFL, which I find is hilarious, because if you actually if you actually share, I'll share my screen here. If you actually look at this, like the way that this is broken down is kind of hilarious, because in most corporate jobs, it's like, how well is your boss treating you, whatever, and like food/cafeteria is a section here for the players, and
that was a big hot topic.
Yeah, apparently so. And honestly, it was one of the worst grade. So if you guys are looking at this is the Ravens report card for 2022, and the what brought them down into the middle of the pack. So the Ravens, I think, overall ranked, what was it, 15, 16, somewhere around there, guys?
Yeah, I believe it was.
Might have been like 19th.
Yeah, I think it was late.
No, 19 seems low, especially with all these grades. There's not one D in here.
But they had a lot of teams that, like Harbaugh. Not
they were 15th. They were 15th. All right,
that's what I thought. I thought they were in the middle of the pack. But anyways, food, cafeteria, and training room is what brought them down, and team travel, which is crazy, because if you guys didn't catch this, and we should have brought this clip up, but Kyle Van Noy went on Good Morning Football and talked about the travel accommodations, and he was like, these were awesome. So I mean, I'm assuming compared to like New England or maybe even the Chargers, the LA Chargers, at least they're doing better than them. So what I would say is, like, if I'm looking at this, there was a lot of chatter on social media, especially on Twitter, and even amongst ourselves initially. Like, we were kind of like, oh, the grade here isn't all that great. But I'm looking at this, and if you take out food and cafeteria, you take out the training room, and you take out team travel, Ravens are pretty damn good here.
Yeah. I think the one thing with the team travel that needs to be talked about is how much the Ravens had to travel.
That's what I'm thinking too.
They're going to London. They went back and forth between the West Coast. They had one of the most travel miles for any team in the league. That's
not the Ravens' fault, though.
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. I think that's where the bias came from, where people were like, travel sucked this year. It's because they had to travel so much. There wasn't those stretches of, we have a bunch of home games and then we're just going to Pittsburgh, DC, Philly. Like, they were going, okay, home game, travel across to the West Coast, home game, go to London, home game, back to the West Coast. And it just was all year. They were traveling across the country to go play these teams. And after a while, I bet that does feel like the travel just sucks.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I'm pulling up, because the Ravens went last year, they got an A. The players voted. It was an A in travel. So I just don't know how it goes from an A to a C- in 1 year. And then you have a player in Kyle Van Noy saying, I don't know where this came from. Now, one of the things is, interestingly enough, under each category, they put like little notes about like this specific subcategory in this category. For travel, the Ravens last year, it said that there were no roommates on trips. So, in terms of them actually having to room with somebody. And then you look at the travel now, the point this year was they're one of 7 teams that requires some of their players to have roommates the night before a game. So that must have changed from last year to this year. Yeah. Maybe that had some impact on why the grade got lower. Who are
they making? That's got to be special teams guys.
Or rookies, squad. Maybe. Yeah. Practice squad makes sense, yeah.
I'm just trying to think, like, I don't see them being like, Lamar, I'm really sorry, dude. We got to cut costs and you got to sleep. You got to have a roommate tonight. Like, I don't see that happening. I'm sure it was, not that it's right, but I'm sure it was practice squad guys and stuff like that they were like, yeah, dude, sorry, you got a roommate the night before. So
this is what, sorry,
go ahead, Brett.
I was just saying, this is what I thought was shocking, was that Super Bowl winning champs, the Kansas City Chiefs, ranked 31st overall.
Yeah, crazy.
In their NFLPA, whack the organization survey.
I do want to say
the only A was the head coach, was Andy Reid.
And he got first. I think the funniest thing is, and someone pointed this out on Twitter, the F- is just so unnecessary.
When it happened with Steve Saunders, I didn't know it was a real. I don't know about you guys, but in school, For me, the lowest grade we could get was an F. Like F minus is just like a slap in the face. Like you are worse than the worst.
There's no reason to have F minus because there are Fs on there and then F minus. And I think it was the Commanders got like a bunch of F minuses and people were like that. There was no reason for that.
The surprising F minus though was the ownership.
Yeah, apparently, and this is nothing new. I know we talked about this off screen. The Chiefs owner does not have a suite or a box to watch games. It is like a house.
Yeah, it's literally his house.
It's 3 stories, 6 bedrooms in the Chiefs stadium. So it seems like he has his priorities elsewhere than.
Yeah, I had no idea. Like this, so he could just live at the stadium.
I guess. I would assume he doesn't. Like there's no, although I don't know. The video that I saw, it was all decorated for Christmas, so maybe.
I would just love to hear the reasons as to why the owner deserves to be the worst in the league. Like Dennis Snyder, obviously worse in the league before he left. And I'd have to go back and look at some 2023. Maybe somebody can pull that up because it's pretty readily available. 2023, like I'm sure Snyder was probably 32nd, but does that make the Hunts 31st? I don't know. Like that's what else is it?
Actually, they didn't have, so they added head coach and owner this year. It wasn't on last year's.
Okay. Thank you for that. So yeah, I mean that's crazy. Training staff is also 32nd. The training room is 31st. Locker room 28th. That locker room kind of makes sense because isn't Kansas City's stadium? They haven't really made any upgrades.
I think it's an older stadium. Yeah.
So no surprise there, but like it is a surprise to me that, the reigning champs of the Super Bowl and really as of late, potential dynasty here, and they rank 31st among the NFLPA.
Yeah, I think it goes to show almost that like if you have a shot at winning and players value winning that much, which they obviously do, they'll put up with a lot in terms of you could go to a place that has state-of-the-art facilities, state-of-the-art stadiums. They treat you well. They treat your family well. But if they're a team that's in the middle of the pack or not winning, some players just, the goal is to win a ring. For a lot of players, the goal is to win a ring there. And different players have different priorities. And for the Chiefs, if you go there, you're going to have a shot to win as long as Patrick Mahomes is healthy and Andy Reid is there and Travis Kelce, et cetera, et cetera. So players will literally get cut mid-season and say, hey, I'm going to go sign with Kansas City because I have a shot to win a Super Bowl, even though the amenities that are there might not be as good as another team.
That's so crazy. Zach, did you say that like the Chargers charge $75 for childcare?
Yeah, and it's not on site. So it's also off site. So the Chargers, most teams, this was a big thing that came out about the reports. The majority of teams, you have on-site daycare, and it is provided to you from the team. Like, okay, thank you for playing football for our team. Let us watch your kid while you're at practice. Apparently, the Chargers are not only off-site, but it's $75 a day for the first kid, and then it's $50 for each kid after that. I love that it goes down. Like, they act like they're giving you a discount. They're like, I know no one else charges you, but you have one kid. We'll take the second for, what would that be?
It's almost off. Like, oh, yeah, we're charging you $125 for a $150 value. I'm like, we're talking about like kids here. Yeah. Like things that, for the Ravens, for example, they do a good job with that. I feel like a lot of players overall in the grand scheme of things feel like their families are being treated well there. But to charge, I mean, this is a multi-billion-dollar industry, like billions and billions and billions of dollars. Each team is either worth hundreds of millions. Now we're in the billions. Like, I think we're done with the days of hundreds of millions. We're now in the billions for teams.
Yeah.
And, what's that $75 for one kid going to do for you? Is $75 to a multi-billion-dollar owner worth more than the satisfaction and reputation of your franchise? It's one thing if you're not willing to do $100 million renovation to something, and that's just not your budget right now. But to not offer food on certain days or on off days, the Bengals got flack for that. To have this childcare thing, it's pinching pennies at that point, considering what these owners do make in a year.
It's insane. You don't even, if you charge $75 for childcare, you don't even notice that, right? Like, what's the point?
Yeah,
I will
think
say
that's
this.
what's
I will say
annoying
this.
for players. If players are making millions, it's probably just more of an annoyance for them. Like they don't care to pay, but they're like, I think what really was upsetting was that was like not conveniently there as well. So not only were they paying for it, but they had to like go elsewhere for the childcare.
Crazy.
I will say this, that like obviously for everybody else, childcare costs $20,000 to $30,000 a year, so $75, big whoop. But like when you're dealing with millionaires and it's $75, it's more of an annoyance than anything else.
Yeah.
I will say this: when I worked for, I used to work for T. Rowe Price. They would charge us $20. Was it a paycheck? $20 a paycheck or $20 a month, whatever. It doesn't matter. But then they would reimburse us at the end of the year, and the whole purpose of them doing that was just so that like we would treat the facility, the gym facility, better, because like they knew that we were paying for it. So like it was kind of like that mind game. I don't know if that has anything to do with it or not, but like, maybe you're not dicks to the child care providers as much if you know you're paying for it. I don't know what that mental game is, but $75 seems kind of hilarious to these people who are making millions of dollars a year.
Yeah, and before we switch topics, shout out to the Commander strength coach, because he got an A, and everything else on the Commanders is F-, D+, B-, F-, F-, F, C, F, C, B.
You know what picture I want to have you throw up is the one of the Ferrari in that worn down garage.
Yeah.
For the Commander strength coach, and then everything else is just terrible.
Yes.
Imagine, like, he's just out here literally carrying the team, I guess. Everyone just loves that guy. Yeah. He's got to be hired by someone else.
By the way, Dolphins are overachievers.
Yeah, Dolphins were first and
they
got an A. The lowest they got was an A.
Straight A's. They got straight A's. That's incredible.
That's how you get number one.
That's incredible.
Yeah, that and no state income tax, they're gonna be a hot.
Yeah, that no state income tax is nice for them.
Yeah, no, that's big for them. Okay, so let's move on to, we're going to stay in the NFL Combine today, which means that everyone is going to overreact to how fast or slow people ran in the 4-yard dash, and this will impact players by millions of dollars because they will rise and fall throughout the draft process. So we task Kevin with predicting, obviously, because why else wouldn't we task Kevin? Kevin had a 3-round Ravens mock draft, so we can discuss and then I guess tell him when the Ravens don't draft any of these players that he doesn't know ball.
Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready for it.
You know what? That is fantastic. Yeah.
I just wanted to address this real quick because it was too good not to respond to.
That's incredible.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So for those listening on Spotify or Apple, Adit says, do you think the Chargers started charging for childcare partly because they had Phillip Rivers and Antonio Cromartie on the same team at the same time? Probably. For those of you who don't know, I think those two combined for...
Hey, do we have a number on that?
It's got to be over 20. Oh, it's got to be more. Both have over 10.
I think Rivers has 13, 12.
Yeah, I thought he had 9. I thought Rivers had 9.
He officially... We're getting to the bottom of this.
No, because I remember when he hit 11, everyone was like, he's officially put out a starting offense.
All right, he just welcomed his 10th child in November.
Plus him. It was plus him as the...
And then
Phillip Rivers did?
Yeah, he had his 10th kid in November.
Damn, what a baby factory. God bless his wife.
And then Cromartie. Well, the big thing with Cromartie is that he couldn't remember his kids' names or something. I think that.
Yeah, he has.
Cromartie has 14.
Yeah,
at least. Jesus Christ,
14. At least this was in 2022. Who knows?
Yeah,
it's been a while.
So at least 24
starting roster for a baseball team.
Yeah, you can fill out almost an entire starting. If you add Cromartie and Phillip Rivers, there's an entire 26-man roster for an MLB team.
That is, yeah. Wow. That is unreal.
That's unreal. So moving on to the fun portion of the mock draft, we're going to toss up the mock draft real quick. And Kevin, you can, I guess, give your thoughts on why you went with these picks.
Yeah. So first, you follow me on Twitter. I put this. I do mock draft Sundays, and so I said that today was mock draft Wednesday. Today is Thursday.
Yeah,
it's been one of those days, guys. It's been a busy day. I'm tired. I barely got any sleep last night. So it's been one of those days. Today is Thursday, but for the world to see, showed my tiredness.
Mock draft Wednesday.
Here we go. It's mock draft Wednesday today. So with the 30th pick, I ended up taking Troy Fautanu out of Washington. Now he's listed as a tackle. He has like tackle guard versatility. And I think with the Ravens uncertainty, we could be looking at at the very maximum 4 new starters. Now it's not going to be that. I don't think the Ravens are going to completely go in a rebuild like that. But the big question is if you keep Ronnie Stanley and Morgan Moses. So let's say they move on from both the guards, Simpson and Zeitler, and they keep both tackles. The big thing is you want to get production out of your first round pick because, a project sitting behind somebody at the stage the Ravens are at right now, they're a competitive team. They're trying to win Super Bowls. You want to spend your first round pick on somebody that will contribute right away and have an impact. I think if you put Fautanu at guard, if you keep Stanley and Moses around, you can have him play because he can kick in and out. He's a good zone blocker, and he also pulls really well too. We know the Ravens love to get out in space, have their offensive linemen out there, and he is a left tackle. That's where he's played most of his career. But again, he has actually kicked inside before and played left guard. So with the hole there, I think I feel better if the Ravens take someone who has that versatility, or if they move on from one of the tackles. Obviously, there are probably 7 or 8 first round tackle prospects. It's such a deep top of the draft. It falls off after like 2nd or 3rd roundish. But you have a lot you can work with there.
I think that's what intrigues me the most about a guy. It seems like a Ravens pick in the fact that he kicks into guard for 1 year while also learning from a Ronnie Stanley, and then or Morgan Moses, and then takes over. It feels like the Ravens love to have guys, one on the offensive line, like you said, who can get out in space, but they love versatility. So I think that's what I like about this pick is it is someone who screams, okay, he's going to learn. He might be the left tackle of the future, but he's going to come in, play left guard to start because we want to ensure that we have a strong offensive line. We have our best players out there. And then when Ronnie Stanley, it comes to we can cut him, trade him, whatever it may be, probably after this year, then you have the, I guess, next man up already sitting there having a year of, learning from him, learning the system, and you can just pick up and go.
Yeah, and I think his athleticism makes him intriguing because I think Baltimore just wants to get more athletic in general, where a lot of this is not talked about, but in terms of what Todd Monken versus Greg Roman in those conversations, it wasn't just, oh, well, Todd Monken is inheriting this offense. It's Todd Monken is inheriting this roster. And Greg Roman built his offensive line, and, with John Harbaugh and Eric DeCosta is kind of like those heavy head banger guys who can go and be super physical, and they're athletic. They can get out into space. But I think with Todd Monken, you want even more athletic offensive linemen than what you have right now. So I think that if they get somebody who is athletic like a Fautanu, I think that that's a good pick for him. Then actually in the 2nd round, I went with Braylon Trice. And just a little disclaimer here. I did this before the combine started, and Braylon Trice had
you don't know ball.
I can't predict the future, guys. It's one of the things I'm trying to work on. But Trice had a very poor 40. And again, as Zach said, we're in the era of over and underreacting to, definitely overreacting to 40 times, right?
Kevin walked into the studio, and one of the first things he said was, he was like, people are going to be so mad at me. Trice ran such a bad 40 time. They're going to be so upset.
And you want to know, I see the comment here from Sedarian says that Chop Robinson's out of reach. Now, Chop Robinson was on the board for me, and I took Trice because Trice has been widely regarded as a first-round prospect. He's super physical. He's big. He's tall. But Robinson, I think, put himself firmly in first-round conversation.
He ran a 4.49.
Yeah. What, like 250, right? He's 250.
Yeah. 254. He ran a 4.49.
That's incredible. Yeah. That's wild.
Chop Robinson is going to, I think, for better or worse, this is going to be this year's guy that is going to show out as an athletic freak at the combine, and it is going to shoot him up draft boards. Just unreal. No man won for him to look like that. How much does he weigh?
254.
Just pure muscle, 254.
That is insane.
You shouldn't move like that at that size. That should not be allowed. So, Kevin, next up with with
the draft, I ended up so Trice is someone that I think if we're talking about, like, you can almost flip where Robinson and Trice were projected. I think Trice might be viewed now as more of a 2nd round. So maybe the Ravens can, because I picked him with the thought in mind that he's not going to be there when they pick in the early 60s in the 2nd round. Maybe he could be there now. And then the last pick here, I took Blake Corum at 93. This is Zach loves it. This is there we go.
Get the drama going, baby.
Now, for a lot of people, this is the pick they do not like. My comments were, half of them were, it's Thursday. The other half were Blake Corum in the third round. That's disgusting. Like da-da-da. And I think a lot of it is because, look, you talk about worn down running backs coming into the NFL. Corum was a workhorse, a bell cow running back coming out of college. Now, there's a lot of smoke around him going to the Chargers with Jim Harbaugh, with obviously Austin Eckler being a free agent and just being reunited there. But Corum is a really solid player, runs between the tackles really hard, is physical. He's of the smaller stature, but I think he fits what the Ravens would need. And plus, my whole thing with like him being more quote unquote NFL ready and, a little more worn down is the Ravens window is literally right now. Like this right now, you always have a chance when you have a chance when you have Lamar, but you're trying to maximize now. So I'm willing to sacrifice a year or two of 4 or 5 years in the future, or 5 or 6 years in the future, for a guy in Blake Corum who we don't know what the running back position is going to be right now. It's Justice Hill, and I mean that's it. You have Keaton Mitchell, but when's he coming back? So I'd sacrifice, 5 or 6 years down the line here for a player that could give you a lot of really good snaps and a lot of really good production, and maybe his first 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I don't think the Ravens are necessarily right now looking at, okay, what running back can we take that's going to be really good to, have in 3 years? Who's going to be? They want a guy that, like you said, like a Blake Corum, that they know the second he gets here, he can go and give you 15 touches a game, and his one going to be able to take it because at Michigan, he was, like you said, the workhorse, the bell cow. He was given the ball at all times, touchdown scoring machine. And I like what you point out with the not looking down the road, because the window is here. It's not something where, okay, the Ravens have 6 years to win. You want to get guys that are raw and develop them and, really build the team. The Ravens this year, and I think this draft is going to be different because it is almost who is most ready to help us now? Because like you said, 3 years down the line is too far to be thinking about. That's too far to judge, okay, we want to still be good in 3 years. We want to still compete in 3 years. Go win a Super Bowl now. Give us guys that next year you think can go out there and help us. And I think Blake Corum does that.
And even if we're talking about, the way that these draft prospects are evaluated, obviously the draft is a place for you to build your future. I'm not saying that if you're the Ravens, go out this year and take, 5 24-year-olds and, do that. I think if you're the Ravens, you have to balance it out a little more though. And with the running back position, we talk all the time about how devalued it is, how the shelf life perceived by a lot of these teams, it's shorter for running back as opposed to other positions. So if Corum gives you 3 really solid years coming out of college, or 4 really solid years, and then, you're worried about the fall off from him, that's something you can, and there's no guarantee he falls off after 4 years either. So I get, some of the injuries happened and everything like that with the brace and stuff, but I think that he fits the timeline that the Ravens have right now, and he's not going to be your only addition or, I guess, re-signing in the room.
So I hear you. And I think that there's a good argument for that, especially with the ties to Michigan, and we know how the Harbaughs have those connections. I think it makes a ton of sense in that regard, and I hear your arguments. But what I would argue is that the amount of free agents on the defensive side of the ball for the Ravens this season is absolutely insane.
Yeah,
and we've already heard rumors about how the Ravens want to try and sign a quote unquote legacy running back.
Right.
And the running back pool this season in the draft isn't great. I would almost argue that they could trade for or sign a free agent running back, one of those legacy running backs this year, and then worry about drafting a running back next year. Seeing what the pool is next year, and continuing to focus on the defensive side of the ball, because offensively, I like where we're headed at as far as like round one's concerned, because the offensive line certainly needs help. There's no Zeitler, and Ronnie Stanley's questionable. But like when it comes to second and third, I think the focus is just going to continue to be on defense. So I don't know if I would go and spend a third rounder on I want to Blake Corum, especially when I know that I already have it in my mind that I'm going to draft a running back this season, and I would worry about drafting a running back next season to see what the draft pool looks like in 25.
And even to that point, I think, you talking about it kind of, sparked something with me with maybe, because it seems like they're going to sign a veteran, like whether it's Derrick Henry or whoever.
They have to.
Yeah. At this point, with everything going on there, you almost got to do it. But with Keaton Mitchell and kind of the uncertainty of his timeline, maybe what you do is you sign that legacy guy, you have Justice, and then whether it's an undrafted or a very late draft pick as your third running back until Keaton comes back, and then Keaton can slot in, and you have that three-headed monster, and then, that later. So I think a lot of the conversation is, look, in the third round, there's still a lot of value at other positions, especially, Brad, you talked about on the defensive side of the ball. So go and take maybe, if we want to flip maybe edge rusher, you take a second, well, not back-to-back edge rushers, like Trice and someone else wouldn't work, but maybe a corner, let's say. You take a corner in the third round and take a running back in the sixth. And then you have that running back be your third to start the season. Then when Keaton Mitchell comes back, he slots back in as your fourth. And then you have, let's just say it's Henry. You have Derrick Henry, Justice Hill, and Keaton Mitchell as your three, with that other late round running back in the equation to an extent, but not really.
Yeah. And quick question right here is, Henry would be a massive signing. Did we tag Beaks? So, little interesting thing about Justin Madubuike. Eric DaCosta came out and said that if they do not reach a long-term agreement with Justin Madubuike, they will franchise tag him. So it has not officially been put on him, but no, Justin Madubuike will be playing for the Baltimore Ravens next year. It's either going to be preferably on a long-term deal to help lower the cap hit for this year, or worst case scenario, he will be a franchise tagged player. Yeah, so if you're new to the show, this is the Ryan Ripken Show. I'm not Ryan Ripken, who usually sits here. Ryan and Rocco are currently actually in a plane back to Baltimore from spring training.
Yeah, do we have that clip? Can we play that clip?
Yeah, do we?
Yeah, let me bring that up.
Yeah, Rocco.
We have a live update on Ryan right now.
Rocco loves to give airport updates.
Yeah.
How does it feel to have TSA pre-check in a airport with no line? Feels great, right? Yeah, thanks.
Let's play that one more time.
How's it feel to have TSA pre-check in a airport with no line? Feels great, right? Yeah, thanks.
Oh, that's gold.
Yeah, I something tells me Rocco was upset he didn't have a TSA pre-check.
Kind of felt that way.
Yeah, it kind of felt like he was a little upset.
A little salty.
Yeah, so Ryan will be back on Monday for our regularly scheduled show. We do this every Monday and Thursday, usually at 6 o'clock. Joe, I saw earlier you said something a few minutes ago. We started close to on time tonight. Close enough.
It was close.
Yeah, the countdown went up at
closer than Ryan.
Yeah, if Ryan was here, we would have been at least 6:20, 6:25. So we were on about 6:03. I'm going to consider that on time.
Well, so in two shows, we got on here at 6.
Yeah, 6 on the dot.
6 last Thursday. And then we got at 6:03. So 3 minutes late in 2 shows combined. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not worried about what a lot of rumors are going to say it's our fault that people are late, but everyone knows if you look at the stats, you check the film now,
there's a common denominator.
We see why suddenly things are starting closer to on time.
I will say, and I'll own this, me getting my phone stolen was my fault. But that is one show.
Yeah, that was one.
That's another mulligan. We'll give you another mulligan.
Yeah, no. That getting your phone stolen, that's an okay one. Brad, do we have another poll up here about potato chips?
We do have a potato chip poll.
You saw the comment?
Yeah, I see these comments and I'm like, what is going on?
Yes. So it's simple. Best potato chips. And I just pulled them kind of at random. This is another one that I feel like we could go a whole week.
This one.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But I picked ones that I like because it's all about me. Doritos Cool Ranch was one of them. Grandma Utz kettle cooked, and I really feel like kettle cooked in general can be thrown in there, but I put Grandma Utz because they were the original kettle cooked. Lay's Waves, and then Utz original potato chips. Just a plain Utz or any potato chip really. That's just a plain potato chip. What say you guys?
Kevin, do you have your answer?
That's so tough. I mean, Doritos Cool Ranch are just such a classic, but I like the salty. Like I think the Utz original to me I think I have to go with that. I think I have to.
All right. So Utz like normal potato chips, I feel like there's category because Utz normal potato chips are different level than the red. Like Lay's are too thick. I think Utz is the perfect like regular potato chip.
Yeah.
I don't know where I go. I will say the chip that will not be on my thing is the one chip challenge. That will not be making my top.
You want a bag of one chip challenges in there?
Oh my. Don't try that at home, kids. I really don't know. I'm probably.
You don't have just like a favorite potato chip?
Well, I'm trying to think. Like that's what
mine is definitely Utz. I had the Utz waves of sour cream and onion the other day. Those were so good.
Yeah, everybody loves sour cream. My favorite chip of all time. So it wasn't. So just so
I might be with crab chips. I'm not gonna lie. I might be.
Yeah,
with
crab chips are good. Salt and vinegar, kettle cooked salt and vinegar chips are always number one for me.
Yeah, there it is. I'm gonna. Brad, you just as soon as you said that, there it is. Salt and vinegar, I would say, is one. Kettle cooked salt and vinegar, game over. It's over. Stop the count. There it is. Oh, I agree. That one. Yeah, Brad. As soon as you said that, it clicked. Okay. So, Kevin, you're wrong.
By the way, Hopper,
Cheez-Its
do not count. Those are crackers. We'll have another poll on crackers later.
Just
stay tuned.
Savory snacks like Cheez-Its and Cheetos and Fritos and all those.
Yeah,
that's another whole category.
That is a whole nother category.
Oh, bugles are so. Oh yeah.
You guys ever do the bugles on the hands, on the fingers?
Like yeah, for sure. Oh yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Have to. Okay, so let's move on now that we've talked about crab chips. Now let's talk about Baltimore baseball. So, like we just said, Ryan and Rocco are on their way back. So they will not be here to talk about it, but a lot going on, a lot of exciting stuff going on with the Baltimore Orioles. And I don't know if you guys have heard of this dude, but a guy by the name of Jackson Holliday hit a triple, which is funny because it seems like it's a thing with Orioles top prospects and hitting triples. Helmet stayed on. Here is the play for you to see. I'm not going to take credit for it, but Jackson Holliday went 2 for 4 today. And I did put on Twitter earlier today that I felt after he grinded out that hit 2 days ago, Jackson Holliday was going to have a 2-hit game. I'm not saying it did start out 0 for 2, and I thought I was a massive jinx. I will say that. I was like, I'm going to get cooked on Twitter. And then it's starting to turn. It is starting to turn.
You did caption this on Twitter as sexual content. It was flagged as sexual content.
It should be. The fact that Jackson Holliday hitting triples should not be allowed. You should have to opt in to view that. It was probably, I watched it like 9 times. I'll say it. It just, Kevin, before I just get it and start fangirling over Jackson Holliday, is there anything else you want to say?
He was zooming on that.
Yeah.
This is what people get excited about right now, because again, there's a lot of debate as to whether he'll make the opening day roster out of spring training or not. And I think it's kind of that topic has had Orioles Twitter in a chokehold a little bit over these last couple of days, especially with the Colton Wong signing and everything like that. But it's just good to see him kind of get a couple hits under his belt and see some confidence out of him too. And that number's going to have to change at some point, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
I want to point something out that actually Rocco DeSangro, good old Rocco, put on Twitter. Colton Wong played with Matt Holliday in St. Louis for the Cardinals, and they asked Jackson today about his relationship with Colton, and he said they were in the cafeteria yesterday, and he looked up and said to someone, "Is that Colton Wong?" And they were like, "Yeah, he just signed. Do you know him?" And he was like, "I've known him since I was 10. So now Colton Wong has played with Matt Holliday and is now playing with Jackson Holliday, which is like, that's crazy.
It's unreal.
That doesn't sound like it should be happening, because that was in 2010. So it was like, or I guess like 12. So that was.
Yeah. When did Matt Holliday retire?
Oh, that is
no, because Wong was
2012 maybe.
Yeah, that's what let me see.
Because Wong was young when he played with Matt Holliday. And now he's the grizzled veteran.
I refuse to believe this. It says he retired in 2018. There is no
Did he
way.
really?
There is no way.
When was his last season playing?
Colorado Rockies?
Yeah, it says. He did have that stint with the Yankees.
Oh, that's true.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Let's see. Yeah,
he played with the Rockies.
The last
in
one was the
2018.
Rockies, Yankees. Yeah, he was with the Cardinals forever, and then.
Oh my!
I didn't realize his Rockies career was so short.
Yeah,
considering what his Cardinals career was.
I mean, yeah, I think that.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel. What? I feel like he's been retired for like 10 years.
This isn't, and I don't mean this to come as a dig, because Matt Holliday, obviously Hall of Famer, right?
Yeah.
But I want to say, and I'd have to like do some more research on this and what his stats look like. But I want to say, like after 2012, 2013, he did kind of fall off statistically.
I mean, I remember him I remember him as a Rocky, even though he played for the Cardinals longer.
Yeah.
Like personally.
Yeah, he's
like wait. Tour 1 or Tour 2 Rocky?
Tour 1.
Okay, so then that makes sense. But I mean, like,
yeah, you wouldn't.
He did he just retire as a Colorado Rocky?
Yeah, he had like 25 at bats.
Yeah,
or something.
It
was 25 games.
Yeah, he only had 53 at bats, so he was a bench guy.
I mean, he was kind of sort of a Rocky at 2018, but like, yeah, 2014 5th NLCS 400th double and 1000th RBI and runs scored in 2014. So maybe not quite 2012, but pretty close.
Yeah, I would say probably like 2014 was when it started to he definitely was over on the other side of Father Time and was just kind of I mean, still producing because it was Matt Holliday, and when you're a Hall of Famer, those guys seem to, no matter what they do towards the end of their career, they'll give you still, 15 home runs. But it is crazy. But Jackson Holliday is not even the biggest prospect making waves right now. I would say that would be Kobe Mayo or Colton Cowser.
Just look at Zach's Twitter for Kobe Mayo content.
Oh,
so here,
Kobe Mayo guy.
Fun fact: Kobe Mayo was on this channel exclusively with Ryan Ripken, and great kid, really good kid, and we've been following him since the show actually started. So Ryan and I have obviously Ryan knew him well before I did, but when we started the show, we were watching him through the minors, and just the pop off the bat is just absolutely insane. Kind of reminds me of, and I would love to have Nick here, but like when Nick was talking about like just how Mookie Betts had a worse batting average than Nick did when they were in the minor leagues.
Yeah.
But it was more about the pop off the bat. Kobe Mayo has that same type of pop off the bat. And like that was something that we have been watching since early last year, meaning Ryan and I just personally, on a personal note, just being like, this kid is something special. And that was well before people were like, holy crap, this kid is ridiculous. I mean, just even towards the end of the year last year, and just seeing some of the homers he had smashed out of the park,
insane,
just absolutely insane. And so, we were talking here off air, Zach, about like, what does the infield look like? Because now you got Kobe Mayo, who's
thrown his name into the conversation.
Oh yeah,
he's thrown his name into the conversation,
tearing the cover off the ball. Obviously, Jackson Holliday, Gunnar Henderson. I feel like. And Ryan, I wish Ryan was here, because Ryan would say I don't want him to play third. He has to be at shortstop. But I don't know what else you do if you're Hyde. Where do you put all these guys? Or if you're Mike Elias, right? Like, and I would say that you don't really have a choice other than to put Gunnar Henderson at third. And then
when Kobe Mayo's playing, he's gonna, I think, have to play. We talked about, do you trust him in the outfield or do you have to stick him at third? And then it's so it's. Although I think he's too big for second. I don't think he's got that type of.
You do Gunnar Henderson at disservice if you're sticking him at second. So Gunnar has to be at third.
Well, I'm saying Gunnar would be second or third or shortstop no matter what. I think he's top priority. He will always stay on that side of the infield.
Jackson's also too good to play second.
Yeah, but I think that's where, at least his rookie year, I think that's where they're going to have to put him. And it's just one of those things where, is that where he's going to stick? Absolutely not. Like you said, he's way too good to be a second baseman, just at how good of a fielder he is. But man, we talk about, what do you do if you're Brandon Hyde? what a problem to have.
Yeah.
I mean, we sat here 4 years ago and watched the Orioles lose 100 games, and now we're sitting here. Yep. It's a good, exactly, Rick.
Yep.
It's fun. I mean, we get to sit here and we're arguing over, wait, where do you put this top 10 prospect in baseball? Well, if we put him there, now we have to move this top 10 prospect somewhere else. What a time to be an Orioles fan. It really is awesome just to watch these guys.
Yeah,
right
I
now.
mean, can you imagine if the Orioles didn't trade for Corbin Burns and we had to throw Joey Ortiz in this conversation, and obviously they have Norby. I mean, we're sitting here and we're saying, okay, well, all these guys were blocked, and you know, you can't keep everybody, and you have all these good prospects, and you move on from a really good prospect in Joey Ortiz, and we're still sitting here today saying, all right, well, all these guys are still blocked. Where are you going to put all these guys? And it's kind of what we've been talking about this over the last couple of weeks with the Orioles, where they just have so many guys, like so many.
For the first time in my near 38 years on this earth, I kind of feel like the Orioles are the 90s Yankees.
Yeah.
In a sense of just like there's so many ridiculous players on this ball club that you don't know where to put them.
I mean, get yelled at for this on Twitter, but I say, you know, like the projections, it said the Orioles would win one World Series over the next 10 years, I think it said. And I was like, this would be a disappointment to me. And people are like, I just want one World Series. And I understand that, because I would trade anything for one World Series too. But with the talent and how young this is, I truly believe it would be a disappointment if there are not multiple banners, World Series banners, hung at Camden Yards over the next decade.
And there's so many routes they can go with it too, because they can trust their young talent and develop, because they already have done it and the talent's developing. Or you could go the trading route and trade some of the blocked prospects like we saw with the Burns trade, and go get another stud with pitcher, fielder, whatever it be. Maybe you want to go get a stud hitter to put in your lineup, but then, you know, again, where are you going to put that guy? Because they already have so. And now on top of that, we're starting to see, and this is something that I think is new over the past, couple of years here, is that we're starting to see these public declarations of like, hey, you know what? Anthony Santander wants to resign here. You know what? Austin Hayes wants an extension. And I think that, first of all, that's so cool. Like, I think that's what you strive for, to have your players want to stay in a situation like that. And that also says, well, if you trade for a guy, I think you want to bring back guys like that to your organization, guys who want to be in the city with the organization. So again, so many different routes you can go, and so many different ways these teams can look over the next 10 years.
It's crazy to me to think about what the Orioles roster looks like right now, and how they could actually stand up to a team like the Dodgers, who have ridiculous amounts of money into those players. And we're doing it with players that are still under arbitration. That's the mind-blowing part to me. And so, like, I'm sure there's a lot of fans out there that are worried about, like, well, what if we don't sign this guy? What if we don't sign that guy? Like, who the hell cares? Because we got the next guy up down on the farm. So, like, it doesn't matter. Like, it would suck to see Gunnar Henderson go play for another team. It would suck to see any one of these players leave. But the beauty of it is that the depth is absolutely insane, that it almost doesn't matter. Let Gunnar Henderson go to a bullshit team that has nobody on that team, if that's what he wants. Like, because the O's are going to continue to be good for the next decade. And I just can't believe that I'm saying that as somebody who has been a lifelong fan, again, approaching 40 years old. It's crazy.
Well, it's crazy because, like you said, I see people who talk, especially for some reason with Jackson Holiday. No one believes Jackson Holiday's a lifelong Oriole for some reason. People will be like, well, I don't want to get too excited over him because he just seems like he's destined to be a Yankee. That's in 6 years. I don't care about, like, we can cross that bridge. I can start stressing about that in 5 years, in 4.5 years, when it's like, okay, why hasn't something gotten done yet?
Right.
We can cross that eventually. I'm not going to sit here and stress about when, like we said, we have this massive window open, all this young talent. I'm not going to sit here and stress about, oh man, what are we going to do in 6 years when we have to start signing guys? We will deal with that. We will cross that bridge eventually. I'm more worried about what are we going to do with Hayes, Santander, and Corbin Burns, because all contracts are up at the end of this year. Those are the three we can worry about. Those are, do we trade? Do we re-sign? Those are the questions we can ask each other now. But
honestly, I'd be fine letting Santander go. I'd be fine.
I would too.
And this is
you're
nothing
going to have to let some guys go.
It's nothing against him as a person, but from a business perspective, if I could get more solid pitching from a guy like Santander in a trade or what have you, fine. Like it just is what it is. Like love the guy, love him as a person, love him as a player, but there's just so much other solid talent coming up that we got to do something. And I would even think, like, even as Santander as a player, understanding the business, probably be like, yep, I get it. Like it is what it is. I know that I've played my ass off and I know I'm going to get paid, just probably won't be here in Baltimore.
Yeah. That's the other thing is these guys are going to get paid. These are going to make big contracts. And that's why I don't know if it's here in Baltimore because of the cheap, young, up and coming players they have. They can replace a Santander with Heston Kjerstad, with Colton Cowser immediately.
Yeah.
Whereas if you don't have that same depth at pitcher and you would like to use that money that they would use to get Santander to keep him, I'd prefer them go and get bullpen help or something like that, like you said, Brad. But
the Santander's bat is replaceable with the players that we have, and it's crazy to say that.
Yeah, and I never thought we would. I thought he was going to be one of those guys that's like, that's a lifetime Oriole. That's someone we're going to have hitting home runs here forever. But
yeah,
it's nothing he's done. He's one of the best switch hit
100%
power hitters. It's just the cheap talent that is coming up, so young and so cheap, and just so much control that, unfortunately, business side, that's probably where they're going to lean.
Yeah, and even with go ahead.
I was just saying, if I'm putting my GM hat on, if I'm Mike Elias, I would imagine that I'm thinking somewhere along those lines of just like, I got all this insane talent coming up that, if I have to make a move, especially to try to make a move for pitching, Santander's got to be in the conversation, the trade. It's got to be.
Yeah. And I think also, with having the quote unquote, like the veterans, like a Hayes and a Santander there, I appreciate how much time it's given these younger prospects to kind of do their own thing, where I think we've seen where the Orioles just haven't had guys like that over the recent years. And it's caused guys to get caught up maybe sooner than they've needed to be. And now that you have guys like Santander and Hayes and all these guys, and even, with what they've done, it's allowed Cowser to go and develop and be with Kjerstad, got a late start. He's been able to kind of, you don't have to call him up, rush him through the system and get him up there. It's given these guys time to develop, and not every single prospect is going to work out. That's just the reality for every MLB team. Not every single prospect, not every single high-end prospect with potential is going to pan out at the next level. But you have so much of it. If you're the Orioles, you feel confident that you're going to hit on a lot of these guys. And all you have to hit is, one at every position, get some quality backups in there, and you'll be fine. You'll be good. So Baltimore's roster is in such a good spot right now. And you have the next, I predict we might see the Orioles Dodgers as the next Cavs Warriors for the next couple of years. Maybe that could be a thing.
Maybe that would be fun. Someone that we're talking about, and actually Ryan broke down, and kind of a forgotten guy. 2 home runs today. Jorge Mateo.
Yes.
I will say, if we see April Jorge again, we're saying there's not enough room for guys already. If Jorge Mateo decides to have an April again, like he did last year when he was looking like an MVP, that will add so much more. But right here, we have just a clip, about 2.5, 3-minute clip from Ryan breaking down kind of what he saw go wrong last year with Jorge Mateo. The entire 10-minute video will be up on YouTube after the show, so you can go and watch all of Ryan's thoughts. It is actually a great breakdown. I think this is probably one of the better ones, just from a learning standpoint. I love, yeah, exactly. I think I love. It is annoying. I'm just going to point out right now
about Ryan.
Something so little can impact Jorge so much. So take a listen to this clip of Ryan breaking down Jorge Mateo.
Is that as the season progressed and when things weren't going right, he wasn't making the adjustments, and then he was finding himself in pitchers counts and wasn't really being as competitive as maybe he wanted to be. So in this case, you're going to see a slider go way out of the zone. Mateo's going to swing and miss. And again, that's easier said than done, right? Like, that's coming at you hard, and sometimes you get fooled. The problem with Jorge is that he's getting fooled more often, and he's not having the success to go with it. That's the unfortunate part. This is actually a almost a hanging pitch, but still a very solid pitch that Mateo had a chance at. But I want you to kind of notice, again before, the low pitch for him is going to be a trend that gets him in trouble. But his body for me, if I rewind this for a second, and this is what I want to dive into, I almost feel that Jorge Mateo's body is somewhat going out away from the plate at times. Yes, he's going to fall into the plate, but his body is not going into it and going to the baseball. And if your first movement even is just a hair off, you're going to have more chances than not to have a slower bat and to not make contact. So here it is again. It might not seem like much, but that front foot barely goes out, okay? So if your momentum is starting to take you, I'll try to move towards you guys for a second, if I can do it. So if your momentum then is just going to go a hair this way, and the pitch is there, you have to then start cheating. And that makes it so much challenging, especially at the big league level. Let's continue the conversation, okay? This case, Nestor Cortes, 0-1 count. Mateo's going to look for a heater. No one on base, and Cortes is going to go right after him, okay? Watch again what happens with Jorge Mateo's front side and what his first movement is, okay? Where did his first movement go? It went out, right? And the result is he's going to inside-out swing, and he's almost going to swipe at the baseball and not drive it. It's going to be a pop-up, a flare to the right fielder, and that's that, okay? So let me go back to that one more time because I really want to emphasize it, okay? Right here, his front foot. Pitch is coming in. That is going out this way, and then your front shoulder then follows. So if your front shoulder is going out, all you can do is almost swipe at the baseball, and that's exactly what happened. He swipes at the baseball, doesn't drive the baseball, gets stuck, and he's going to pop it up to right field.
That is so annoying because that's what I used to get yelled at when I played baseball.
It's just fundamental.
Yeah,
baseball.
that's what like is so annoying about baseball in general is the fact that Jorge Mateo has all this talent in the world, had one of the hottest starts of anyone in baseball that we've seen, and then he just started doing things that I did in 8th grade, and it's like annoying. Like it's like, what do you like? I used to do that and get yelled at. You shouldn't be doing that in the MLB and it be taking your batting average from 350 to 120 like that. That when I was watching Ryan break that down, that was me and Kevin were talking about it afterwards. That was what was annoying because I was like, it's so simple. And then once I couldn't stop looking for it. Like I would go back and watch his 2023 highlights, and you can tell just that tiny little step made such a big difference. And it's the difference between maybe if he keeps up last year, they traded more prospects because they felt like they had a guy in Jorge. You know, you never know what a guy like that does. And I agree. Jorge does seem like a glue guy. He's someone that everyone seems to love on that team, no matter what he's doing at the plate. He always seems to have a smile on his face. He has the right attitude, and he's someone that they all hover to as a leader, which is weird because you wouldn't necessarily always think, oh, the shortstop who's struggling is a leader. But so many times when the Orioles had a big rally, when they had a game-changing play, Jorge Mateo, even when struggling, was at the start of that. So you can't give up on him. He's one of those athletes. Ryan talks about it later on in the video. He has everything. He's a 5-tool player.
Yep.
And it didn't get put together last year, and you just hope for the best.
Yeah, I think that's why it was so disappointing because you saw so many flashes early on, and then it just fell off a cliff for him in so many different ways. And then you break it down, and Ryan did a great job. Again, just one little thing here, and it all could have been different for him. So obviously you go back to the grind and getting better, and hopefully we'll see less of that. But yeah, he's someone that, again, does give you some versatility in the outfield if you want to put him there. So we'll see how it goes this year for him. But look, Jorge Mateo playing the way that he played in April last year, if you can put that on this Orioles team, I mean, it increases your chances of winning just astronomically.
That breakdown was actually great. I mean, he's been getting better. So that was I mean, not that he sucked before, but like he's just been improving. That was a great breakdown. I thought that was awesome. I'm really looking forward to all the ones that we're going to have later on the season, especially the Know Your Foe ones. I thought that was great. The Juan Soto breakdown.
Joe, this was actually hilarious. Joe says the young guys are the reason the show exists. They blocked some guy named Ripken. That's
yeah, for sure.
But I think that does it for us here. Anything else?
Like this question here too. That is a great question, Joe. We are going to look. This is our, and you know this, Joe. I don't have to tell you, but this past football season was our first ever football season that we've done on the Ryan Ripken Show. We do have things that we've been talking about. Obviously, Nick is now a friend of the show. Nick Moore, current Ravens long snapper. So our network is vast, and we will be working on this. And we already got some things in play as far as having someone from Football Breakdown in a similar way that Ryan does for baseball. Ultimately, we want it for all the sports that we talk about. So football is just naturally the next step in the evolution of the Ryan Ripken Show. So to answer your question, yes, there will be something like that. We just don't know exactly what that's going to look like. But as soon as we do, of course, we'll share it with you guys.
Yeah. So I think that does it for Brad and Kevin. Wave to the crowd, Kevin. Awesome. That will do it for today for the Ryan Ripken Show. We will be back probably with the full crowd on Monday around 6 p.m. So we will see you then. What'd you say? Have a day, have a night. I'm not ending with that anymore.
No, don't do that.
Yeah. So we'll see.
What happened to the soundboard outro?
Oh, true. Wait.
Do you still have it on there? There it is.
Yeah. So for everyone at the Ryan Ripken Show, have a night, have a weekend, and we will see you on Monday.
Peace.